Hello guys, so welcome to my channel. Here we try to make website development easy for you by explaining the CSS in a very simple way. So today we are going to see CSS nesting. So what it does and why it is important. So what it does, it makes our CSS cleaner, it makes our CSS shorter, and it is easy to write CSS since we are not repeating our CSS selector same repeatedly. So what we earlier do is, so this is our card. So here in service container we are storing all the datas. In our service container we have service image to store the image, and in service content we store our content. So to write the CSS, what we do, we repeatedly use our service containers. See, service container, service container, service image, service container, service image, img, service container, service content. So we are repeating service container every time. So um, it it is waste of time to repeating our CSS selector. So in CSS nesting, what it does, we do not need to repeat our CSS selector. So what it does, if we remove this service container and we cut service image from here, and we just check where service container starts and ends. So it starts from here, it ends here. So where it ends, just before we write our service image CSS. We cannot write service image in between anywhere. We have to write where uh, the CSS of service container ends, then only we write another CSS selector. So it's clear, I hope. So if we save this, you can see here nothing changed, because what we have written before is exactly same what we wrote here. So what it understand, while writing inside service container, it understands that this service image is service container service image, like that. So again, if we see here, we have service container service image, then img. If we see above, we already have service container, we already have service image. So these two CSS selector is no more important. We just cut the img tag from here. We just check where service image CSS ends. Just before that, we paste our CSS of img. So what CSS now understand, this img is service container, service image, img. Okay, let's check once. If we inspect this, yes, now you can see if we put mouse on image, it reads as service container, service image, img. Okay, so in this way, we are not repeating our CSS selector repeatedly, and this makes CSS cleaner and easy to write also. One thing to understand while writing nesting CSS, make sure you do proper indentation, then it will be easier for even you to understand your CSS well. So let's move further. Now we have service container, service content. Okay, if we check our HTML now, this service image ends here. Now service content is not inside service image. Okay, so when we write CSS for this service content, here we already have service content, so we do not need service container now. We just copy the service content CSS, and again we check where service container is ending. Here it is ending. So just before that, we write our service content. Okay. Again, we have service content P. So we already have service content. So we do not need to repeat service content now. We just cut the P from here and we write inside service content. Let's save it. See, everything is fine as before because nothing is changing. We just changing the way of writing. Okay. Now we have service content button. Again, we already have service content. We do not need service content now. Now we just cut the service button from here and we write inside service content. Okay. So still same. Now here we need to see where carefully what. Now here's button over. Over is not a class. This is a pseudo element. So to write this, what we do, we already have service content here. We already have button here. We only have to write over. So first of all, we delete this service content and button and we cut the over from here, and inside button we write over. Okay, but it will not understand this because this over is not attached with any class. So to attach it with button, we write ampersand. While writing ampersand, what it means, it just check which CSS selector just above it. So it checks just above it is button. So this ampersand assumes it as button over. Okay, so we cannot write button again. Due to that, we use ampersand sign. Okay, so once we save it, we see it, this still works. Okay, so we check another example. Suppose here we have p tag and we copy this again and we write a class here red and italic. Okay, now since this red is inside service content, we just check where service content ends. Here it ends, so we can write red here, or we can write red here also. We just need to confirm that this red should be inside this service content. Okay, so we write here color is red. So as we save it, we see both become red because both have red class with them. Now we have to write class for this italic. Okay, since this italic is along with the red class. Okay, so if we write italic like this, font style italic, it will not understand it because what it understand here, this as red space italic. Right now this statement is like this. Okay, means if we remove the red class from here, so this is equals to this, but our red class and italic class is together. So when we are writing normal CSS also, we write this when both classes are together, there will be no space between them. So if we write this like font style italic, see here it works and it changed to italic. But while writing in Nested format, what we do is, just we control Z it. Since red and italic both are together, we write ampersand. So again, as I explained here in button, while writing ampersand, it just check what is CSS selector just above it. So here it finds red. So it read it as red with no space italic. So we write ampersand. So in this way, this is red and italic. So when red and italic, we want to change the color to white. So this will remain red and this become white because its color priority is higher, because here red and italic both classes are available. Okay. So these are the things we have done. When we write CSS, we generally come across with pseudo classes like before and after. So how we write before and after in CSS nesting? Suppose I want to add a black layer over this image. Okay, so first of all, I write normal CSS, then I will convert in nesting CSS. So what we have to do is we have to target our service image. So how we write it? We will write it as service container service image, and we make it first of all position relative. Okay, now again we repeat our CSS service container service image before. Okay, so now we will write content. Since this is pseudo element, we have to write content. Width 100%, height 100%, position absolute, top say 0, left 0, background RGBA 0, 0, 0.7. Okay, and let's save it. So as you can see, a black layer appeared here. Okay, change the opacity to 4. So here we can added our layer on the image. So again, as you see, we have repeated our service container 2 times. So if we want to change this to our nesting CSS, so as you can see, we have service container service image have position relative. So we write position relative to our service image. So this is no more required. Okay, now for service image we have to write its before. Okay, so again service image ends here. We will use ampersand sign, so it will understand this is as service image, and we will write its before. Okay, and now we just copy all this content, delete this and paste it here. Okay, now we save it. We can see nothing changes because our CSS is exactly same what we have written earlier as a normal CSS. So in this way we can nest our CSS and we do not have to write our CSS selector again and again. One more thing, before finishing this tutorial, we can even write our media queries here only. So let's check this CSS container is ending here. So we will write our media query like @media max width 520 pixel. So we are writing for our mobile device. So if we have to write CSS for this parent, okay, right here background is 212121. We are going to change the background in mobile device. So since we are writing just inside this, we cannot write service container again. So we will write ampersand and we just write background. Let's say background black. Save it. Now if we change this to 520, see, this changes to black. So let's change to some another color so that it will easy to view. Okay. So we move it to 520. Here see it changes to green color. So we can write even media query inside our parent selector only. Okay. So in this way, while writing CSS nesting, we can make our CSS cleaner, and this is easy to write. And if you want to copy all your CSS and move somewhere else, so it is easy to just copy this block, cut it and paste it wherever you want. If you want to make another CSS and want to use on another project, you can save it at one place and use it another project also. So this is very important to use, and in modern CSS you should now write CSS as a nesting CSS. Hope I explained CSS nesting well. If you like the video, please like my video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much.